no, 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 no.
You said something about Ain Techila. Ain Lo Techila, I mean, does not mean it doesn't have a beginning. It means, I thought you said it meant its source is within it.
Right.
Is that what you said? Okay, because I said that and people were disagreeing with me.
No, and if Ein Lo Techila means that its source is within itself.
Okay.
It doesn't have an outside source.
Isn't that not? You said something else, right?
That it doesn't. That it has a source within it. That it doesn't have. Did you say outside?
It doesn't have an outside source. That's what it means. Ein Lo Techila. It doesn't.
Right, because it has the mower with it, right? Because the oil has the mower with.
It is self-motivating. Ein Lo Techila.
Ein Lo Techila goes on the ore.
That's what we're saying. We call the oil Ein Soif, not Ein Techila. Why don't we call it Ein Lo Techila?
Ein Lo Techila means there is not to it a beginning. What's the question? Why don't we
call it Ein Lo Techila? Why do we call it Ein Lo Soif? Ein Soif, not Ein Lo Techila. Ein Lo Techila is a higher kind of reference, description than Ein Soif.
Ein Lo Techila, we say this is about etzem that's Ein Lo Techila.
Right.
I'll pick it up, don't worry.
We're describing as
This was a question in my mind.
I'll take care of it.
Why is the oil called Ein Soif, not Ein Lo Techila? And the oil is K'moi Ho'etzem.
Even though we say it's like the etzem, we say it's Ein Lo Techila.
You say Ein Lo Soif, not Ein Lo Techila.
Yeah.
Yes, Lo Techila.
So now we're talking about it as if it's a mile. Yesh Lo Techila. Because it has a techila with it. It has the like.
No, Yesh Lo Techila means there is a techila, there is a beginning. In other words, there is a point where it starts. It's not Ein Lo Techila means there is no point where it starts. It's a kadmon, Ein Lo Techila. Kadmon. Kad means that it had no beginning.
We can only say about etzem that it's Ein Lo Techila.
So that was explaining why the oil is described as Ein Lo Soif, not Ein Lo Techila. And the Rebbe explains that Yesh Lo Techila. It's incorrect to say that Ein Lo Techila, because the whole thing of oil is that is Dobek B'Moyer, Dobek B'Ho Etzem, and the Etzem is its Techila.
Great.
What, you changed the password?
It
Yeah,
was
we have a new
reset,
one.
so it uses a default
It's a new
password.
one.
Golan's sponsoring the brand.
What,
What's
a
the
new
Shabbos?
what?
We don't have the old password, or we would have used it. So we have a new one, which we printed.
Okay, but is it a complicated number or is it a simple one?
You can change it if you want. It changes the.
Not too bad. Yeah.
You're sponsoring this Shabbos for Brian?
Yeah.
At Beis Levi Yitzchak?
No, at home.
At home. Your address is?
701.
701 Crown Street.
Who's that who's sponsoring the parade?
This is Golan Ben Oni.
Wow. Can I ask a question, Rabbi Paltiel?
Yes, sir.
Is that the voice of Akiva Marshall I hear?
Yes.
Wow. That's astonishing. He escaped. Kanenahara. I have another question actually, but I'm going to go into the other room for a minute to ask you. So the question may be a little bit out of place or late. So if this is you already went past this, you can push off this question. So, but it seemed to me it's kind of paradoxical that we're still talking about Oyer and Shefa, or we finished it?
No, we're still talking about in Shefa.
So here's my thought, or my question. It seems paradoxical that Oyer is actually dovuk to the etzim, and it has the same quality as etzim, and yet we're saying that the Oyer is actually not a transfer of essential. It's referring to the essence, but it's not carrying the essence. Whereas Shefa, the thing that gets transferred, like this goof, ha'aras ha'seichel of the Rav, is mamish like a piece of the etzim. And yet we're saying it seems like this doesn't really, nevertheless, represent the etzim anymore, where it is in the new place. Whereas the oyer always does. Is that true?
Yep. We have to use the terms of referring to oyer and shefa in to describe what the Rebbe is explaining very carefully.
And it's like once the shefa is transferred, it's no longer representative of the etzim. It's its own thing.
It's no longer bound with the etzim. It is representative of the etzim because it's a piece of the etzim, like you said. But it is an entity unto itself.
So it can go off and do its own thing, basically.
And it goes off and, well, it doesn't do its own thing. It does the thing that the etzim imbued it with.
It stays true to the inyan of the etzim.
It stays true to the inyan that the etzim provided it with. But that's it. It's not etzim per se.
So if the etzim is Ein Sof, the shefa, if there would be such a thing as shefa, is not Ein Sof.
Right.
Is that true?
Yes. Right now you're going
too far.
And it's not too far. We're losing the point.
Okay. The Rebbe, I guess the question is that the Rebbe wants us to see the Mila of both things, or ultimately he's showing us the Mila of Oyer, even though it's only Ha'ara.
Ultimately is to understand Oyer. All right. Oyer and Shefa. The term itself actually says in a lot about itself. Oyer is light. What is light? It's a non-entity. It has an effect, but it doesn't have a real presence. Shefa is an actual force, an actual bestowing of a real presence. like in the case of the stone thrower. The koyach that he imbued into the stone to fly actually carries the stone and makes the stone move contrary to its nature. It does not merely say, I'm here. It actually has an effect on the stone. Oil, on the other hand, the union of oil is just a statement of, I'm here. It does not affect any changes at all. It doesn't have a koyach of its own. That's what oil is.
Wait, it has no effect? It says I am here, and beyond that it has no effect?
That's the effect. The effect of oil is I'm here.
How can we say it doesn't have any effect when we go through this whole mushal of daylight? That doesn't have an effect?
It doesn't have an effect. It presents itself.
But when it presents itself, that has a phenomenal effect.
By its presence, doesn't have an effect on the object itself. The stone actually flies. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. The stone flies, the world doesn't actually light up.
That's right. And what is the, okay, what is the point of this whole discussion? The question was, in line to explain another aspect, but the first thing, the immediate question was, why do we refer to the oil as oil in soif, not oil in tchila? Ein tchila. Ein tchila is a higher form of reference. If this oil is oil in soif, oil that is representative of the etzem, why don't we call it ein tchila? The etzem ein tchila. And if the oil is represented, here's a challenge, okay, for all of us here. If the oil is k'mei ha'etzem mamosh, the etzem is ein tchila. So why don't we call the oil ein tchila? Do we understand the question? Does it bother anybody? Okay. So therefore, the Rebbe explains, with all the huge milos of oil, Ayin and Seif and so forth, there's one principle that needs to be understood. The reason that the oil has all the oil qualities is not because of itself, but because its connection to the earth. Dover Bohet. The etzem is not oil, the etzem is etzem. The oil is Ein Sof. Why is the oil Ein Sof? Not because the oil is Ein Sof. Why is the oil Ein Sof? Because it represents the etzem, which is Ein Sof. That's why the oil is Ein Sof. In the union that the etzem is ein lo tchila, the oil cannot possibly represent that. The oil cannot possibly represent the union of ein lo tchila of the etzem.
Capable of representing the luminary, the etzem, in all other ways, but not this element.
Not this element. Why? Because this element has no Gilui aspect. Oir is Gilui. Ein lo tchila means there is no presence whatsoever. And oir, the holding of oir is that there is a presence.
In lo techila is no presence.
That's right.
Why does Ayin Lo mean no presence?
Isn't Gilui in effect? The Or said, ask Gilui, so it's in
No, wait
effect.
a second. Yeah. We must think of the word. What do you mean by what's Pshat Ein Lo Tchila?
It's true in and of itself.
True in and of itself. What kind of presence is it? What does presence mean? Something that can be presented.
Something that can be represented.
We are never going to get part of this. Let's leave this alone, okay?
Maybe that's Kadmon, no? You said Kadmon before.
What's Kadmon? Okay, what I'm pointing to is we are trying to understand things that are beyond understanding, but we want to apply dafke Seilige terms. There's no way. And therefore we need to focus and understand what we are talking about. If you really want to understand, I don't say, isn't it clear what the Rebbe explains? The whole in of Oyer, that Oyer is Ein Sof, is only because it's connected to the Yetzim, not because of itself. Therefore, it has a beginning. It's not a Kadmon. What's mean not a Kadmon means? Not a Kadmon. Kadmon means it always was. Oyer is not always was. Oyer is when the Yetzim wants it to be.
Maybe you could restate the principle. You just mentioned before before you would ask the question. You stated the principle on which he asked the question. Can you restate the principle that you said that the reason
has no presence.
Ein Lo Tchila has no presence is not a principle. It is not a description of anything. Do we understand that? No. Ein Lo Tchila.
Ein Lo techila is not human.
It's not human.
No.
Shake it. Give a good shake.
Come on, squeeze.
What you mean by not human, it's not within human grasp.
Yeah.
It is within human grasp, but not in Seichel. The Rambam says, Yesoid HaYesoides V'Amud HaChochmas. If you want to be a Chochem, and you want to be thinking with your Seichel, before that, you have to know that there's a first being. That first being precedes your Seichel. What is this? This is truth itself. Amit is himotz. If we insist to understand that truth, then the Rambam says there's no way. The whole thing is that seichel begins after that.
Why is it called a chacham?
Huh?
Why is it called a chacham?
Do we need to go into every crack and
No.
crevice? Do you understand what we're trying to say here?
So how do you relate to it? You said there is a way to, but not with your seichel. How do you relate to it?
Oh, you don't relate to it. This is something that is known without getting to know it. Let me explain. We got into this. Does anyone here think that they made themselves? Let's take a census. Are we aware of having been made? Not even that. But yet, there is a certain truth about us, about our presence, that we have no way of explaining, understand. This is what we pointed out this morning. That the error in the secular thinking is that seichel can understand its own beginning, which is folly. So the whole concept of kadmon is something which definitely beyond and before the functioning seichel. This kadmon actually goes into the category of our relationship to kadmon is inyan v'heidah.
Inyan of what?
Haidah.
Or that?
Haidah. Let me explain what that means. Right. Now we're coming hopefully to something that's meaningful. Haidah means that without any means of understanding this principle, this truth, I nevertheless, with my life and with my actions and with my total orientation, submit to this truth. That's what it means, Haidah. I do not really know what I'm submitting to. I'm submitting to the fact that something preceded me, and I have to be what I am. Remember, when we speak lately, that what is the primary desire of a human being? To be a human being. Why? Because the kadmon had assigned to me that function. And by me, the most precious thing is to be connected to that Kadmon. To be what I was made to be. This is where I'm connected to the truth. Amit is imotze. Are we still here? Are we still together?
By the Adar.
Huh?
By the Adar.
That's Adar.
That's confession. Adar is a confession. What's Adar?
Not confession. Adar means submission.
Submission.
Yeah.
Submission.
Being, yeah. The folly, I don't know if anybody here was exposed to these philosophers who said, prove to me that I exist in all of these mishagas, and then base their philosophy on the basis of that proof. It's the stupidest thing and the furthest thing from truth. Anybody was exposed to it? Anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, you were. It's absolutely insane. It's canceling out the truth. If you decide you want to prove to me that I exist, you're canceling out your connection to the truth. And then you say, I'm looking for the truth. Couldn't be a bigger lie. This is Amit is imotze, and this is the extreme of falseness.
They're using Chitzonius to verify their things.
Huh?
They're using their Chitzonius to verify their things.
Well, I don't know. Okay. So when we talk about Kadmon, means that it is there's no Metzius. So therefore, Kadmon, we have absolutely no definition for it, and that's what Kadmon is. It has no definition. Amit is imotze. The only way to describe that is emes. The Gemara says Moshe Rabbeinu was about the Luchas Shniyos, and it says that Moshe Rabbeinu vayipel al ponov, when he the Aseres Adisheshes Amidas, and Vayavar Hashem al ponov vayikro, Vaymahe Moshe vayikid arzo vayishtochu, vayefa yishtochu. What Maro? Moses Maro. What did Moshe see? Emes Ro. Moshe was the only one that Ram says that he saw beyond any other creature ever, even beyond what Malachim are able to see.
You had said before that Or cannot possibly have this quality, or cannot possibly represent the quality of Kadmon, because Or already is a already is a Matthias. It's a presentation. So therefore it is it's the stira to this inlet tefillah.
Right. All right.
As soon as you start to speak about or, like there's no there's no connection to this the door of Atzmus and Or. It's just when you can't hold them both together.
No. This is why one of the great challenges of learning Chassidus, especially this Chassidus, is focusing in and trying to understand what is being given, not what I'm searching for. Anything that I find by my searching is not the truth. Why not? Because I'm searching with my yeshes. The truth is not yesh.
Back to the drawing board.
Fine. If we realize you have to go back to the drawing board, it's fine. This is what we're saying. When you learn from a Rav, so one of the prerequisites from a Rav, that you put aside your own seichel. And you let the Rav pour in his seichel. And try to understand what he is saying. Not what you say, but let him formulate your thought process. You have the ability to do that because you also have in the Shomas, whatever it is, and then you can relate to what he's teaching.
So, Rabbi Paltiel?
Yes, sir.
So the emphasis over here of Ein Lo Techila, excuse me, I just have to move here for a second. It's not so much to get us to understand the Ein Lo Techila. It's to get us to understand the mile of the oil that's connected with it. Is that true?
The purpose of this is to get us to understand that oil is yesh l'tchila.
Right.
And what is the purpose of that? Is to understand that oil is double b'hoetz, the principle of dveikus.
It's Ein Sof because it's dovuk to the etzem.
That's right.
But that doesn't give it the kadmon quality.
No, that's not given the kadmon quality.
But the point is, in other words, to get us to understand the oyer, not the etzem. We're not trying to understand the etzem at all.
Right. Still missing the point. The Ayin is that oyer is double b'hoetz, in contrast to shefa that's not double b'hoetz. No matter what the mile of shefa is. Mm-hmm. And oil is double b'hoetz. Wow. I just got the password.
And what is the difference in the, I'm not sure exactly where you're holding in the text, what's the difference between kamoi ha'etzem and kamoi oifen ha'etzem? This is the difference between oyer and shefa, right?
Mm-hmm. Shefa is be'efen ha'etzem. But it's not kamoi ha'etzem mamush.
And this is because it's not dovuk.
Because it's not dovuk.
What does exactly kamoi eifen ha'etzem mean?
We explained it many times, that the Rab is mashpia, that which is his own seichel.
And so then
what qualifies a Rav as a Rav versus a Talmud? That his seichel emanates from his Etzem HaNefesh, from his Etzem HaSeichel. Thank you.
we're talking about the hashpah now, right?
Yeah.
The hashpah is kamei efen ha'etzem.
But not k'moi ho'etzem mamash, right. In other words, the hashpah is hashpah. It is how the etzem can express itself. It's not the presence of the etzem itself. Again, let us forget about our questions. Try to understand what is the Rebbe telling us. The Rebbe is saying that the oil is k'moi ho'etzem because it's dovuk. That is the whole focus of the whole discussion. What is dovuk? Nobody's asking what dovuk means. Not one question about that. That is the whole point. What does dovuk mean? Dovuk means that it doesn't exist without the presence of the etzem. And that is the whole principle over here. The whole discussion of the question of Ayin Sof, not in Tchila, is in order that we should understand and sense the principle of Dveikus. And we should understand the principle of Dveikus, not only that it doesn't rebel against its source, it's not, but that is its whole presence. That it's pointing to its source. Therefore, it has all the qualities of the Etzem. Because it represents the Etzem Mamash. Oil is saying, look, I'm coming from an Etzem. Seichel does not say, look, I'm coming from an Etzem. Seichel says, here, look at this. This is a truth that you can understand. It's completely different and given different relationship.
Isn't it that there is such a stage with the Seichel as well on its inception?
What?
Isn't it true that Seichel on its inception has this quality of Dveikus?
Seichel in its inception is not Seichel, is Oyer.
Right.
No, but in Seichel, when it's Mashpia, it's not Oyer.
Yeah.
Mashpia is a Shef. All right. If you're connected here, be Dovuk. Let's go. Okay, so we're on top of page Yudgim.
Since you asked this last question, can I stop you again?
Okay. What?
You asked this question, are we Dovuk? So...
Who is this?
Can I close the computer?
No. Oh, our computer, yeah.
There's all kind of numbers.
Hello?
What?
Yes, you can close it.
You can close our computer. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So you said, are we Dovuk here? So the question I was thinking about before you said that is, so in relation to a human, in relation to our human level, we can understand hashpah, perhaps, but in relation to oyer and being Dovuk, we can understand getting something from a Rav as mushpoim. Can we understand? Is there such a thing in human terms as being dovuk?
Yeah, we had many times discussed this. The famous story of the host and the lunch.
And who's dovuk to whom there?
No. What does the host give by his presence?
himself.
No, he gives his oir, his
His
presence.
or his presence.
His presence is double to him. V'haraya, if he leaves, the presence goes with him.
I see.
The lunch stays.
I see. Okay. This is our human mushal for the oir and the dvekas.
Right.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay, now we're on top of page Yud Gimel. Mamash on top. V'chein hu beho'oir. This is also true in oir. Gam li'achar hatzimtzum. Even after the tzimtzum. This is the whole focus over here is to explain how oir is dovuk bo'etzem. I explain the principle of vekus. In oir, the dvekus follows through even after the tzimtzum. That is really a phenomenal thing. Tzimtzum, to the extent that we all know what tzimtzum is, right? Tzimtzum means that the oil was withdrawn and then reintroduced after the tzimtzum. This oil that was reintroduced and after the tzimtzum is a completely different type of presence. When the oil before the tzimtzum, it was there naturally because the etzem is here. Now that there was a tzimtzum and reintroduced, so this oil, as we always pointed out, the oil after the tzimtzum has an added quality to it, and that quality is that it has the nifan hamshocha. Hamshocha means it came into being, right? Because it's a tzimtzum, there's a vacuum, emptiness, and in that comes the oil. Before the tzimtzum was no emptiness. The oil is there because the etzem is there. The reason the whole process of introduction. After the tzimtzum, there is a process of introduction. That's why it provides for world, because world can only deal and process something that is being introduced to it, not something that is there at the primary state. So this oil after the tzimtzum, he says, is the same. It has still this union of vekus, and that is especially to understand. But the principle, as we're going to see, is that oil, the whole concept of oil, no matter where you find it, and how many different gyrations it goes through, if it's oil, it is double oil. And this is what the Rebbe is going to explain now. The Mikom Okoim, that even though it's after the Tzimtzum, he is touching and he is dovuk. He is bound with the oil in Seif. No matter where, even though it is a new hamshacha of oil, after the Tzimtzum. Behine, noida. For it is known the sheyesh hefresh. There's a difference between loshen oir uvein loshen atzilus. Okay. I don't think anyone was thought that atzilus and oir have some kind of of similarity. They are synonyms. So the Rebbe says no, they are synonyms. But they imply it's slightly different concepts. The Loshen Oir and Loshen Atzilus, and there's a difference. What's the difference? Now we're going to explain. The Atzilus who gam kein Oir, because number one we have to understand that the term Atzilus is also a term of oir. Atzilus means emanation, something that has been emanated, that emanates. Just like oir. Oir naturally emanates from the etzem. Atzilus means also the same thing, an emanation, a natural emanation that comes forth. So Atzilus is also oir. And what is the difference? And the difference is, okay, now let's see if we can focus in on that. The difference is where are we going to refer to the oir as oir, and when are we going to refer to the oir as Atzilus, as an emanation? The difference is this: the Iker inyan oir hu, that the principal inyan of oir, meaning to say, when are we going to describe oir with the term oir? It is k'may shekolu be'atzmusei adayin. Oir is the state of the oir as it is kolu be'atzmusei adayin, as it is incorporated in the etzem itself. Adayin. Adayin means as yet, meaning it didn't present itself to be recognized outside of the etzem. Shehagilui hu minei ubei. Where the gilui is, the gilui of this oil is minei ubei, from its very self. Minei ubei, from itself and within itself. Within the etzem itself, there is an element of oil. We come back to this. The inyan atzilus hu, and what is the inyan? What are we referring to when we say atzilus? V'chein es his galus ha'oir, chutz li'atzmusei kaviyach. It is the atzilus is a reference to the oir as the oir. That this is the aspect of the oir being nizgale external to the etzem. All right. Before we go on, and I'd like to keep you with this. What does it mean? That oir means k'meishu kol ba'atzmusei adayin.
Mm-hmm.
What is the etzem need oil for? And agiluhu minei ubei. Minei ubei, everybody knows what that means. Minei ubei, from itself and within itself. What does it need? Agilu within itself. It is the etzem. Okay, these are not frivolous questions. These are questions that to lead us in our thinking. What is it needed for? The answer is it doesn't need it. It is not there because of any serving any need. It is there as a definition of etzem, as a reality of etzem itself. Okay, let's follow through this. What is it?
That seems like a contradiction.
No, Akiva, please.
I knew I was falling into this. No. Oh, wow.
Okay. What is the meaning of the word etzem?
Okay.
It doesn't block anything. It doesn't block anything. Everything is there.
That may be the result of it being an etzem. What is the meaning of the word etzem? What?
Essence.
Right, essence. What is essence? What is the meaning of the word essence? I'm using this term a lot, and this one, essence. 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 Fine, these are all qualities that you say. Only etzem is English chila. But what is the meaning of etzem? Okay. I'm going to give us a very simple yet profound means of getting to this. We speak all the time about the uniqueness of the human being versus everything that's in the world. What's unique about the human being versus everything else in the world? See if we can follow this, okay? There's many ways to present it. I'm going to try to present it a little bit stepwise. But if you follow through, you'll see the richness of what's contained in there. The simple way that defining a human being is, Rashi says, Nitesva Beit Das. He has Das. No other animal has Das. Only the human being has Das. What's Das? Not so simple. Like we speak all the time, the conniving and this and the slyness, we have the fox and the sly fox, and we have this all kind of. What's Das? Das is a unique human quality. There's no similarity to this in any other creature in the world. Despite all the accomplishments, the beaver builds a dam, and the birds build nests, all kinds of different things. There's no similarity to it whatsoever. What is Das? Das is that the human being knows that the world exists. Does not just experience it. He knows that it exists. What's so special about that? This knowing that the world exists is a statement that the world is real. The world is not just functional. It affects me one way or another. All animals, no matter how smart, are all bound by this criterion.
Criterion of being affected.
Of being functionally affected. The only one that can see, that can know the world that exists, and what is called objective knowledge, is the human being. That's not the end. Well, how come what is this knowledge? What does this knowledge depend on? That he knows that the world really exists.
his being.
Excuse me?
On his being.
On his being, that's functional. That's not knowledge.
No, being human, being this special, unique kind. Like
What is
nobody-
how? What is that? How does he get? What is this? What is knowledge? Please, Avram, that's not. What is this special? What is this knowledge? What is the basis of this knowledge? That he knows there is reality in the world, that it really exists, and that really, in other words, he doesn't have to be affected by it. He doesn't have to touch it. He doesn't have to feel it. It doesn't have to do anything. It's just reality.
He's of that quality.
What?
He's of that quality.
He is.
Of that quality.
What do you mean he's of that
He's
quality?
real.
He has that.
What is that quality?
King.
What is that quality? Anybody? Das? That's what I said. He has das. But what is the basis of that? What does he know?
God.
What?
God. God. God.
God. He knows the world from before its creation. That's das. This is what gives the human being that special reality. If we take this a little further, therefore we say that the human being's presence in the world is way beyond functionality. His presence in the world is not that he can build bridges, he can build dams, he can build nests, he can fly. This is not what a human being is. The human being brings to the world a sense of absolute reality. He is the one who says this is for real. And if not for the human being, the world would not have a sense of reality. Period. Here and not here is exactly the same thing. Now, let's take this one step further, and then we'll be able to kind of focus in on the principle of etzem. As we said, that the human being here relates to the world not from a perspective of its functionality and its richness and its greatness and its beauty and all of those things. He relates to the world with a principle of reality. It's for real. Because there's a godly reality in it. Now, let's understand the following. Come down a little bit, okay? Everything in the world, beauty, greatness, variety, everything exists within the parameters of its existence. What I mean to say is, like we say, there is day, right? There's daylight, and there's day, and there's night. Within the parameters of existence, it's wonderful. The term reality has no parameters. Do you understand that? He said,
has no parameters, meaning that if it's real, that's all you can say about it?
That's all it is. Not only that's all you can say about it. It permeates everything. It is not real because of its beauty and because of its greatness. It is real because of its godliness. Because it was intentionally created, a completely different thing. Remember our discussion this whole year since last year's Purim? What would be if the world should disappear suddenly, without any suffering? So from a worldly perspective, nothing. Nobody suffered. Let it go. Where do we say, oh, that's an unfathomable thing? From a godly perspective, there is a reality to it. It's impossible for it to disappear. The principle of etzem means that, as I said, its existence, its presence is not parameter definable. It does not exist in a certain place. Etzem is absolutely omnipresent. That's what etzem is. The reality itself. Is there a place or is there a concept that is not part of reality? There isn't. Anything that has a presence has to have reality to provide for its presence. I know we're not used to thinking of this, but we went into this, okay? So, etzem is an absolute presence. Absolute presence means it is in our terms it's present everywhere automatically. This presence everywhere automatically, this is the oil that's within the etzem. Coming back to the human being.
This last turn over here.
This is the oil that's within the etzem. So the oil, there's an oil in the etzem.
Or
no, don't ask any questions.
This presence everywhere, the or that is within the etzem. Okay?
The human being, his presence to himself. If he is a human being and he stands for human qualities, his primary desire is to be a human being. In other words, it's not the pleasures, it's not the taste, it's not the chocolate, it's not the whatever it is. You know, the best thing waking up to is coffee in the morning. That it should be the biggest insult to the human being, right? He's a human being. He's real, part of the absolute reality of the world. He gives reality to the world. He makes the world real. His awareness of what he is, of his truth, of his own significance, that's the oil of his etzem.
This is the oil that's kol biatz musa.
Kol biatz musa. This is what wakes him up in the morning and gets him out of under any circumstance, whether he's tired or he had slept through the daytime. It's time to get up.
This is the ore of his essence?
This is the oil within his essence.
The ore within his essence.
This is his recognition of what he is. He is a human being, and there is within himself there is a recognition of what he is. That's the oil. And God forbid if he loses that spirit. It's the most painful thing that can be. I can't get up in the morning. What is that? Are you human? Are you for real? Do you have any questions? Told you, don't ask any questions. The Rebbe is telling us this, and we have to focus in on these words and accept them, and then we'll be able to understand what they're about. Oir, the Rebbe says, Oir versus Atzilus. Atzilus is also Oir. But Atzilus, this is the Oir as it comes out. Oir is that which the Etzem itself is. Etzem has Oir. Only Etzem has Oir. Because only Etzem has a reality. In simpler terms, coming back a little bit more, we say, only human being owns property. Only human being has a home. We discussed this many, many times to understand the difference between the turf area that the animals has, what the human being is. A human being has a home. And to a human being, a home is not just a functional element, it's the reality. He owns a piece of the world. How can he own a piece of the world? Because he is the world. He's making the world into a world, into real. He can own a piece of the world. As we spoke many times, that a human being who lives in hotels, no matter how much money he has, money is not the reality. Money is only a means to an end. So he lives in hotels and eats in restaurants. He's not a human being. A basement apartment is more significant to a human being than living in the world of a story. In terms of significance of the human being. And the one who lives only in the world of a story doesn't have a basement apartment, never senses what a human being, and lives what a human, experience what a human being is. You can experience all kinds of different things. Luxury and beauty and taste and comfort, not the human quality. Not the element of reality. This is what the Rebbe is saying over here. Oir is the oir shekol be'atzmusi adayin. It is still called be'atzmusi, but it is all part and parcel of yatzmus shehagilu yuminei obey.
Without and within.
Huh?
Without and within.
Minei obey means from within and within. From within, from himself and within. And now we have to take a little break.
This is all Das you were explaining also? This is all Das and knowing the world from its inception, before its inception?
No.
The awareness is...
No. Das, It was a means for me to explain what the uniqueness of human being is. How does he, what does it mean he knows the world? Because he knows the world because it's real. Experiencing the world doesn't have to be real. You experience it whatever way. But to know it has to be real. That's what knowledge means. What's the principle of seichel? To know it just because it's true, not because it affects me. Not because it's functional. That's what seichel is. That's why the Rambam says that what is the primary basis for seichel is to know that there is a first being that creates the world. That's the only thing that makes the world real. If you don't know that, so then the world is only significant. It's all in internal cause and effect.
So after you know the significance of the human being, then we can talk about the aura, talk about Muslim and the Mashal of human being.
The human being was our means of trying to explain the principle. Okay. Okay? We're going to Dav Meir now.
Good enough for
Yanam